.com.
You can't handle the truth.
Entirely legitimate topic for debate.
You have offended my family.
Hey, this is great, man.
And you have offended a Shaolin temple.
One major responsibility is to encourage people to use less drugs.
I know nothing.
I support a change in law to end federal criminal penalties for possession of up to 1 ounce of marijuana.
We don't need no stinking budget.
Homosexuality, no. Immorality in general.
Now in the century you have blurred the meaning of the words we, the people.
Be warned, this is not your mother's marijuana.
You could ask yourself a question. Do I feel lucky? Well, do you, punk?
I want to ask you a bunch of questions. I want to have them answered immediately.
Surely you can't be serious.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
Radical Rant.
Welcome back, everyone. 45 after the hour, and it's time for us to take a look at why the Oregon sheriffs are so intent on keeping marijuana illegal in this state. When the public money disappeared to bring Kevin Sabet to educate Oregonians about the perils of legalizing marijuana under Measure 91, the Oregon Sheriff's Association stepped up quickly to replace the $15,000 needed for Kevin Sabet. And there's the email right there where Kevin Sabet acknowledges that. They stepped up quickly to replace that $15,000 needed to pay Kevin Sabet to continue the Oregon marijuana education tour and summit that only seems to happen in October when legalization is on the ballot the following November. But a look at the funding for the No on 91 campaign shows that of the $167,425 they've reported as of today, a whopping 98.6% of that came from the Oregon Sheriff's Association and the Oregon Narcotics Enforcement Association. In fact, they're the only donors over $500. $20,000 here from the narcs, $45,000 here from the sheriffs, another $100,000 here from the sheriffs. So why do you suppose that the cops in Oregon are so hell-bent on ensuring that marijuana remains illegal in Oregon? After all, marijuana was decriminalized in 1973. It's no big deal, says No on 91 spokesperson, Clatsop County District Attorney Josh Markey. Quote, "You didn't get a free ride in a police car. You didn't have a criminal record. That's what less than an ounce of marijuana is in Oregon." End quote. And, of course, we have 69,000 medical marijuana patients and another 34,000 or more caregivers and maybe about 15,000 growers. So potentially over 100,000 Oregonians whose marijuana cultivation and possession are protected under law. People who can go to legal dispensaries and buy and sell and shop for marijuana. So why the big push by cops to keep the greater than 1 ounce possession and non-medical cultivation and sales crimes on the books? Well, it's simple. As my pal Rick Steve says, follow the money. The state of Oregon produces an annual report on asset forfeiture in this state. You may have read the Washington Post story on it or seen John Oliver's segment on HBO. Basically, asset forfeiture is when the cops steal your cash, your car, your home, and your other valuables under the pretense that it was all ill-gotten proceeds from criminal activity. This idea, which was pushed by then-Senator Joe Biden in the late 1980s, was to seize the sports cars, the yachts, and the cash from all those Miami Vice cocaine kingpins and use the money to fund police efforts to catch them. That's a laudable goal, but one that came with a really big unintended consequence: policing for profit. No longer was the idea to go after the cocaine kingpin, who could afford an army of lawyers to defend himself in court and get his stuff back, but rather go after the small-time drug user or drug dealer who had just enough money worth taking, but not enough means to fight to get it back. And it does take some means to get it back, as your property has no constitutional rights and is considered guilty until proven innocent. In fact, you personally don't even need to be charged with a crime, and usually aren't, in order for the cops to steal your stuff on the basis that it was criminal stuff. So the Oregon asset forfeiture totals are now scrolling by on the screen, And according to the Asset Forfeiture Report, this is for 2013, folks, criminal and civil asset forfeitures grossed $3.6 million for the state, $2.5 million of that in cash. After cost and distributions, the net proceeds of those funds were $1.7 million. 19 police agencies made 136 criminal seizures, and 24 agencies made 258 civil seizures. Of these 394 Oregonians whose property was stolen, 330 of them, or 84%, were uncontested by the owners. Because it is somewhat difficult to hire a lawyer to get your cash back when they took all your cash. And often the cost of the lawyer exceeds the value of the cash seized anyway. It's not worth going after. Now, this is where marijuana comes in. Of the 273 prohibited conduct crimes that led to a criminal forfeiture, 90% of those were drug crimes. 90% of those were drug crimes. There were multiple crimes involved in 136 criminal seizures. So, it's possible someone, got pulled over, they smelled weed, they found weed, but they also found meth and coke. That's possible. So that's why there's more seizures than there are actual seizants, I guess. But anyway, of those drug crimes, remember, 90% of the 273 prohibited conduct crimes that led to a criminal forfeiture, 90% were drug crimes. Of those 90% that were drug crimes, almost half were related to marijuana. On the civil side, of the 543 prohibited conduct crimes, 97% were drug crimes, and 22% of those involved marijuana. So any way you slice it, making marijuana no longer a contraband item will take a big chunk out of that net proceeds of $1.7 million annually, $1.4 million of which went to city, county, and state police and district attorneys. Now, another reason behind wanting to keep marijuana illegal and why it's so important for law enforcement to keep marijuana illegal, even if it's just decrim illegal, is because marijuana is the key that unlocks your constitutional rights. See, for the cops, the Constitution's a bit of a problem. You have these rights, damn it. You have this right not to be harassed just because a cop has a hunch and wants to shake you down. You have this right not to testify against yourself, not to incriminate yourself. You have this right to remain silent. You have this right to refuse searches. Boy, that pisses cops off. Yeah, they see you with your long hair, with your tattoos, with your piercings. Maybe you're driving while brown. They just know you're up to something no good. They just know there's some crime going on there somehow. But doggone it, they got to have probable cause. They got to have reasonable suspicion. There's got to be some crime going on before they can actually mess with you. Boy, that's frustrating as a cop when you see that dirtbag over there and you just know he's up to nothing any good. You just want to bust him, but God dang it, he's not doing anything technically illegal. Well, that's where marijuana comes in, folks. Marijuana is unique among drugs in that it has a powerful smell and that it is commonly used. 1 in 9 adult Oregonians, and this is 21 and over, folks, 1 in 9 adult Oregonians uses marijuana on a monthly basis. That's 314,000 Oregonians. If you add people in who've used within the year, that's another 4.3%, or 15.4% of Oregonians who've used marijuana within the year. That's 1 out of every 6.5 Oregonians. That's 436,000 people in the state that use marijuana. And so there's a pretty good likelihood, especially when you're looking among younger people, because those numbers are much higher in the college age area, 18 to 25, it's somewhere around 25% that are using marijuana on a monthly basis. So when you pull the car over and the cop's got a suspect that he thinks is a worthy seizure, perhaps it's a nice new car. Perhaps the guy seems to have a little more money than you'd expect him to have. Well, if you got something worth seizing, all the cop needs to do is to claim he smells marijuana to establish the reasonable suspicion he needs to bring in the canine drug dog. And how do you fight that in court? See, if you've got your little iPhone or a recorder of some sort, you can videotape what's going on, and that's legal in all 50 states. You can get what he said, you can get what he did, but you can't possibly prove what he smelled. There's nothing that records the smell as evidence. So when it comes time to go to court and the cop says, I smelled pot, and you say there was no pot smell, who's the judge going to believe? Now that he's got that reasonable suspicion, he can bring in the canine dog. And the drug dog, when it alerts, and by the way, folks, a drug dog alert, 1 out of 5 times that a drug dog is run around the perimeter of a car, it is a false alert. 1 out of 3 times when the drug dog is run around the inside of the car, it's a false alert. But when that drug dog alerts, whether it's the real alerting that there's actually marijuana there, whether it's the dog smelling marijuana that used to be there but it's no longer there, whether it's the dog reacting to the subconscious context clues that the body language cues that the handler is giving it to make it alert, or maybe it's even a purposeful false alert thanks to cops surreptitiously smearing weed on a suspect vehicle beforehand. As a case in Illinois I reported on where they'd find an 18-wheeler they thought and they wanted to take a look at, they'd go smear weed on it. And then they'd pull it over later for a violation of some sort. And of course, the dog would smell weed. So no matter why this dog is alerting, that's all the probable cause he needs to go searching and seizing anything he might find. So when you think about the cops spending $167,000 on the No on 91 campaign, you think about the cops that threw another $15,000 at Kevin Sabet to come here to scare people about marijuana. When you look at it that way, spending a little less than $200,000 to protect a $1.4 million cash cow is a pretty reasonable return on investment. After all, let's take a look at some of the really neat stuff the cops were able to buy. This is from the 2013 Oregon forfeiture action. Get back to the camera there. And we can just take a look at this stuff, folks. Here we go. All right. The city of Canby was able to get a new data system, like a new COPS data system thing. Central Drug Enforcement of Oregon got $82,000. Clackamas County DA got about $19,000 and has no plans as to how they're going to spend it. Expenditure plans undetermined at this time. South Coast Interagency Narcotics Team got some expenses and investigation money. Here's some big money down here. Gresham Police Department, just east of me, got $34,000. Expenditure plans undetermined at this time. We haven't decided how we're going to spend that $34,000. Harney County got $34,000 to buy money for drug stings and training for drug enforcement. Let's see. Jackson County District Attorney got $42,000 for a case management system to upgrade their databases, I guess. Let's see. Lane County. That's the University of Oregon. That's where a lot of college kids are. Lane County got $106,000. Expenditure plans undetermined at this time. We don't know how we're going to use it. I'm just going to hold on to that $106,000 for a while. Medford Police Department, that's Southern Oregon where there's a lot of marijuana growing. $213,000. Part of that bought an undercover vehicle and expansion of the property control facility. That's right. They got seizure money to expand the place where they store shit that they've seized. This is the dirty picture of the drug war, folks, and more people are becoming aware of this. Washington Post, like I said, did an excellent job on the asset forfeiture issue, as has the John Oliver Show. That entire post is up on radicalruss.com. It's got links to all the supporting documents. And if you'd like to help us dig through all of these documents that we're uncovering, they're all available at radicalruss.com/docs. Remember, tomorrow I will be on the Jefferson Smith Show at noon Pacific Time on X-Ray FM, 107.1 FM here in Portland, Oregon. In between Josh Marquis before me and Kevin Sabet after me. They had to get 2 of them on the air just to be able to battle me. And they'll still lose. For everyone here at 420radio.org, I'm Radical Russ. Until next time, take care of each other, tokers.
Hey, 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 hey. This is the Russ Belville Show. The Russ Belville Show is blogging and podcasting daily at radicalruss.com.
You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it, you smoke it. You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it, you smoke it. You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it, you smoke it, and it goes down.